Hi folks, welcome to one more episode of Supply Chain Show with Paul Denneman, right? So what are we doing with the beach, right? Paul, what are we doing with on the beach?
Yeah, why we are sitting here?
We're
It's
sitting,
nice.
it's
It's nice
nice, right?
weather. It's also part of supply chain to have pleasure.
It's pleasure, exactly. So supply chain is boring? Not at all. Look at us, we were working and we thought we'd come here and enjoying the nice beach and weather, so that's what we're doing. Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite topic and actually Paul's as well. We will talk about this debate between workflows versus ERP. I mean, first of all, why would you even call workflows versus ERP? Because I believe ERP is a set of interrelational database and workflows should be designed and sits around the ERP, right? That's what I believe. And there's a lot more, let's call it opportunity for us operations and supply chain people to basically use more and more workflows, more and more automation. Essentially, that's what we do. We manage information to manage material flow. And workflow is probably the best way to standardize your information to drive the efficiency both upstream and downstream, right? So that's the debate you're going to have. It's going to be debate. Paul, what do you think? First of all, what do you think of this concept of workflow versus ERP?
I think workflows can be a great tool to enhance ERP. Because what I see a lot is that we have systems, we have to put information in a lot of different systems,
Yeah.
but they are not user friendly. So a workflow can establish that shell around my, let's say, rigid ERP system
Yeah.
or rigid quality system and brings in the information on a user friendly way. So I'm in favor of setting up workflows on creating those parts and hoping that someday there is good tools available to do so.
Right, right. So you believe this ERP is a database, right? And
Yes.
workflows where you can design your inbound, outbound, operational standard work, implementing lean best practices and all this. Okay. I have a debate because I work for companies who are essentially, let's call it component assembly and manufacturing. There's hardly very few, let's call it vertically integrated companies are,
Mhm.
right? Even let's call it the company I work for, Bridgestone, is a very vertically integrated, but only the plant side. Most of these subsidies are either sales office or supply chain planning office, right? The point I'm making is following that the data actually sits very little in your own ERP and it sits outside in the supply chain, right? If you talk about vendor managed inventory,
Yes.
for example, you want to move to a vendor managed inventory because you want your supplier to basically manage your inventory and supply you better availability, right? For this is happening and this is happening quite a lot. Consigned inventory at the same time. Apple works it like that all the time. All big multinational work like that all the time. So why? What I'm thinking is why can't we have, let's call it, more smart AI-based workflows, right? And the in fact, which is the, let's call it, supply chain data, also sits into, let's call it, a systems or workflow systems, which is connecting your suppliers with your distribution hubs with your customers, because the customer data is also sitting outside ERP if you think about it.
Yeah, I think that's missing currently. What
Right.
what we see, what you mentioned indeed, is that ERP, all the systems are databases with information. We put information inside of it. We want to share information, but we do not have the tools. We do not have that visibility or the actions that people have to fulfill. We are filling in information in one system and doing the same in the other system. So
Yes.
why don't we create indeed a workflow,
Yeah.
a process where we can put information in, but also extract out of it and make our own dashboards and things on.
Cool,
That
cool,
will
cool.
be a great add-on in the future.
Now, okay, so we discussed the concept of that. That's great. Now, what I want to discuss with you is what are the prerequisites, because I believe there's a huge discussion about supply chain digitalization and all that, right? But you cannot really start using workflow unless you have standardized your internal processes, right? You have to standardize your internal processes, how you create your purchase orders, how you do your demand planning, how you do forecasting, inventory management, ABC analysis, so on and so forth, right? So you have to have the standard process in place before you actually start using any workflow tools? I mean, what do you think?
I think for workflow management, in that part, you can use the workflow also to bring in all your SOPs, to standardize your processes. So you can use that tool that all the people are following the same steps in receiving goods, in doing an ABC analysis. You can create workflows for it. On the other hand, you say, what are prerequisites? Of course, one of the big prerequisites is also standardization of data. What formats of data are we using? The data management in general. That will be also key in getting good data out. So I think that workflows can indeed enhance, help us in making that standardization, while the processes are the same.
No, that's a very good point. So as I mentioned, right? So standardization of these, let's call it standard work, with not just within your office, it's basically in your upstream and downstream with your suppliers and customers. So I'm actually working with this startup called Regreello, right? And so we're trying to make a software where basically improve this whole workflow collaboration, right? Because right now, again, people start using WhatsApp. WhatsApp is not designed to do business, right? They start passing documentation. It's just ridiculous, right? For example, Slack is a good tool as well. But again, Slack is not designed to basically implement a lean in your manufacturing if you want to launch, for example, new product. Because once you launch a new product, then you have to have the RFQ, then you have to have the new product introduction, then your suppliers submit different versions of your moldings, parts, then your quality people needs to approve, then you have to do the stock build, and then you basically parts needs to arrive, and then you stop launching a product. It's a whole program, right? But what are the tools available? People think it's project management. Yeah, it's project management, yes, but essentially it's a workflow collaboration. So what I'm trying to do with Regreello is to basically take this whole process and make it very easy in steroids, right? And we're building a templates, which is, it doesn't matter. If you think about, I work for hydraulics, I work for electrical, I work for aerospace, I work for tire industry. And what I realize is a lot of those, let's call it supply chain processes, new product introduction processes, promotion, they all can be standardized. So we are trying to build templates which people can use and just customize at the same time according to your business, or we encourage community to start using Regreello, create your own software. I think you mentioned something about pharmaceutical. Yeah, so tell us about that. I mean, you mentioned that pharmaceutical needed standardized software.
That's indeed one of the applications you could think of workflow. What is happening in pharmaceutical? I need to qualify my suppliers. How do I do that? Of course, first I ask information. What are your processes? What is your certification level? All types of information I need to collect. Most of the times you use questionnaires for it. So you send out a questionnaire, but that's done by, for instance, one planner. He sends out, or one procurement guy sends out that questionnaire. Maybe he is in the meanwhile going to another function. So the next one is coming in, is doing the same. Also the part, we have more sites. Every site is asking that same information. So for a supplier, they are saying, yes, I already give you that information. Why are you asking again? And in that part, a workflow can collect that all, can manage that I sent out something, can bring it in at one place, store it, and even have my track list, you called it project management, my track list of all the elements what should go on. It can even be working in scheduling audits, sending out automatic emails to suppliers, making appointments. There are tremendous possibilities to automate that process. And actually, it's all workflow.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
So Muddassir, you are working with a company who is developing that. What do you see now as challenges, as recommendations of bringing this forward?
So we work with quite a few companies. We work with let's call it $50-60 million company. We are working with $200 million company and $500 million company at the same time, right? The biggest challenge I see is, even though if you see how they manage supply chain, or the supply is pretty much same, right? For example, the famous, we call it pizza tracker. That means when you send a PO, you have a supplier who is not supplying, you're chasing a date. Everybody does it, right? We spend so much time chasing, right? And I think, why can't we really standardize that process? Why can't we create a software? So this is where workflow software will come in, right? This is where Regreello could help at the same time as well, or any other workflow software which you could use. The challenge I see is that we still so much used to manage Excel, right, and your Outlook email that it's a change management as well. You have to basically people needs to get used to two things. First, standardizing the processes within your industry, within your office, and with your suppliers. Secondly, we need to start getting more used to automation, right? Especially process automation, right? So why we
Information
have to,
automation.
exactly, information automation,
Yeah.
right? And this is where we have to change the mindset. So where the human beings will come in? Human beings actually will come in when this automation workflow tools will create the dashboard. Let me give you an example. So if you think the Malcolm Baldrige or any other operational excellence assessment tools, right? Okay, they always talk about, or even let's take the famous ISO 9000 and all that. They say, okay, tell me the effectiveness and efficiency of your action closer, right? So basically the answer is how many actions has been created to do whatever, improve customer on-time delivery or reduce inventory or quality checks process or whatever, right? And how quickly you're closing and who's closing. So this is called effective efficiency. But if you ask any organization, you have done so many meetings, so many actions, so many projects, so many Excel sheets, how many people got how many actions and how good they are in closing those actions quickly. How do you think how many people can answer me very quickly? Very few.
Very
None.
few.
Very
Because
few to
we
none.
don't have that information.
And this is where I think the world in 2020, the operational excellence world should come into. That we should have a workflow software where you manage your action items, where you manage your workflows, and this is where you have a dashboard say, okay, Muddassir have 4 different projects, 2 NPI, he has a daily review meeting or weekly review meetings of on-time delivery, and anything I do, for example, even my action plans for developing my people or their own action plans. I should click a button and it will give me a dashboard that Paul has done 200 different actions, 50 of them was project, 50 of them weekly, and it took him to do average 5 days or 2 days, for example.
But then we are going to work towards real responsibility and accountability.
Exactly. And this is where workflow automation will win and ERP will lose, I believe. I don't know, you agree with me.
I agree with you.
You agree with me. And with that, we finish our episode. As we say here, like, share, and subscribe. Keep it simple and keep it real. Ciao, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments below.